Hello and welcome to another episode of Dave Trippin Couch Therapy, where I'm doing question and answer from the people who comment down below on my videos or write to me, and sometimes a cultural discussion as well if that piques the interest on the channel and somebody brings up something really cool to talk about. Today we're doing question and answer from one of the viewers who's sent me an email, and I think it's a really cool topic to talk about something like loneliness while living in a foreign country, because in all our excitement to get over to Japan or anywhere in the world, we will forget often the challenges that we're going to face and get caught up in our excitement where we benefit from our eyes being open before we go, that doesn't appear as a huge road bump to us when we arrive at it. We see it coming beforehand, and we know how to ditch and dodge, duck and dive to get around it when it occurs. So definitely worth discussing. I will say before we jump into the email here that at the end of the video, I've got some cool life updates, which I think people may be interested, people might give a damn about, but I'll save that to the end. If you're interested in the cool life updates, please do stick around until that time. Let's get into the email. Hey Dave, you might not recognize me, but I've commented on some stuff, sent you an email before regarding advice. Thanks for answering, no problem. Short story, I'm here in Japan. Interact, working, not what I thought it would be. Difficult to make friends and meet people. This is concise, I like this. I'm in Fukuoka and it's super difficult to make friends. Is it me? I've never had any difficulties before. When I was back home in my country or when traveling, it's been so simple. Now it seems impossible. I have not been lazy about it either. Been going to gatherings, meetups, bars, etc. What do I do? Due to this feeling, lonely and out of place, I feel like I don't belong in Japan. I've been in Japan for almost 3 months now. I'm sitting here writing this at 2 a.m. Damn it to hell. Okay, so chronic H2O. This is a really good question. When you come to Japan, and in your case, I might start by saying to a lot of people that, well, what are you doing to be social? Where I find 90% of the people who come over to Japan who have a problem with making new friends usually have done nothing to work on the problem, where they come from an environment where everyone around them is a native speaker of their own language, and so it's easy to make friends, and then they expect the same sort of results when they come over to a place where it's going to be much harder to find that, especially in the case if you were living in the countryside. But then you get somebody like our friend Chronic here, who's doing all the right stuff, whether it's to be social, to go out to international events, but he's not meeting the right people that he's able to make a connection and have somebody to hang out with more often. I thought actually this was particularly good to make the movie about, because the answer that people need to hear is that there is not always an answer. When you come over, you are taking a big risk that there's a period of time where you may be isolated, and not myself, not anybody else can guarantee you the sort of results you want socially. But what I can say is that when these sort of things happen, we often mistake it for the sky falling. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah, there's no replacement for the fact that it's going to get you down and you're struggling to meet people. But in no way at all does it mean that this is a permanent situation where if you're patient and you focus on other things, say you can't be as social as you'd like to be, well, probably the quickest ticket to being more social in Japan could be to work on the language. I'd recommend, almost like after a breakup, occupy yourself with personal projects, and that time will pass more quickly for you. This is not a cure. I'd suppose this is almost a kind of medication for what it is that you're going through, but it's something that can get you through this process where you're having to really hunker down and accept that no matter what you do, you're not getting the results that you want. To hammer the point home that when you're not getting the results that you want socially while you're here, it's only ever temporary. And the problem with temporary, however, is that temporary could last upwards of a half a year. But what I usually recommend to people then, barring this, where you're being patient, you're working on, I don't know what it is to draw your attention away. You're finally getting through that book goal where you should have read 50 books in a year or something like that. I'm failing on mine right now. That if you're really stuck and you aren't having any luck, and again, this is no guarantee that you'll fix it, But I'd suggest a change of scenery. When you've been in a place for so long and you can't make a connection with people, especially out in the countryside where maybe there's less even international people to connect with, if you're willing to renew and stay an additional year, then ask to have yourself put in a different location. It's the simplest answer. And maybe if you're way out in the middle of nowhere, then make an attempt to get somewhere a little more closely situated to a city center. These are really, really practical things you could do. And it's not so much I made the video for this advice, it's more to realize that there's nothing wrong with you. I think that that's something that happens whether it's in a relationship or you've moved to a foreign country or you're applying for jobs and failing. But naturally, humans, when they see themselves not getting the result that they want, most of us, some of us go on with blissful confidence and aren't disrupted by this sort of thing happening. But most of us reflect on ourselves and I think erroneously blame ourselves for the trouble that we're having, when really it's us not realizing just how random life can be at times, whether it's that you're not finding a love interest or a friend or having a success or a failure. We search so much for patterns. I mean, that's what our brains are designed to do, and a large reason why they're so successful is we're a pattern identifying species and we adapt because of that. But then we put patterns into things that aren't really there. For example, that we aren't able to make friends. And then we think, well, then maybe something has changed in ourselves while we're here. Maybe because I'm in a foreign country, I'm being less social than I once was before. But as you can see from our friend Chronic here, that's not the case at all. But he's still turning that back on himself, still reflecting on whether it's something that he's done. And I wouldn't say that it is. So number one, paramount to your success, if you're being lonely in your transition here, is patience. And patience really is something I think it's one of the most valuable virtues that you could possibly have in your entire life. And I now actively look for these situations because I can say that when I am challenged with patience, it's still something that I frequently, time and again, fail with. I'm beginner, intermediate, patient person. It's a virtue that I have yet to develop to a great strength, miles and miles away from that level yet. So I think it's definitely something that we could all bear in mind a little bit more when we're struggling with anything, and something like loneliness especially highlights the problem because it's something that's so fundamentally important to us. We are social animals. We absolutely are. And as much as we like to think that we're the lone wolf and we could go out and be entirely on our own, it's an incredibly small group of people that can do that. And when we do have to face this problem, it's worth persevering through as well, because you definitely develop a lot. If you can have the patience to get through these social droughts, we'll call them, then you do become a more self-reliant person. You're a person who doesn't always need the input or energy of somebody else to keep yourself impassioned, to keep yourself interested in life and following whatever path it is that you want to do. And I think people who are more readily able to be alone are more self-directed, because a lot of people are, because we're so social, like I've seen an interesting video on this recently, as much as we would all like to say that we're following our own path, the majority of us are willing to bend and basically do what the group is doing. It's saved us so many times through history. It's no wonder that we do this, but it doesn't really serve us well in terms of personal growth if we're always doing what everybody else is doing. So those are my thoughts. Definitely accept the fact that this is shitty. This is no fun, that you are alone, you are isolated, but that it doesn't mean that there's something fundamentally wrong with you or your life, or that the sky is falling. In no way is it that. And look at it as a kind of challenge opportunity, not removing the aspect of the bad and horrible from it. It's in fact that aspect which is going to become something of value for you later because it didn't break you. Those are my thoughts. Now, if you're done, I'm going to talk about a little like cool personal stuff basically that's going on right now. A few challenges which I think are really exciting, some headway that I'm making, this, that, the other thing. And those are that I'm running. I run quite a bit. If people follow me on Snapchat, I'm constantly berating people with the runs that I'm going on there. And I've gotten down to sub 50 minutes, 9.5K, really exciting. and there's this teacher at my school that's really intense and wants to do a marathon. The greatest distance I've ever ran in my life before is 18 kilometers, and this is like more than double that. But I really do believe in pushing yourself to a new level constantly. And that's what I want to do. And it's in October, but I basically started training for it now. And I'm going to try and build that up. And I think it'll build some kind of cool drama into the channel as I move closer and closer to that target, and whether I'm going to blow up and fail horribly or that I have success with it. It'll be really cool. So tune into the channel for that if you want to catch the rise of my ability in running. That's going to be going on, and the eventual result. We'll see how I do. Never done it before, breaking through some serious barriers here. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm doing, and I'm proud to say, because of the teacher that I have, because of the good people around me who are willing to help, I'm seeing some great progress with the language finally. And one of those things, I'm one of these people that I could study, and I do, but I really need that end goal to keep me moving forward. And in line with practicing what I preach, I really do feel like there's so many videos I talk about the enriched experience you have because of language here, that it's something I'm working on. And one of those things, if you know about Japan, you know anything at all, there's the JLPT, and I'm studying to do that. And I've done a couple mock tests so far, and I seem to be passing or almost passing these mock tests. And my exam's going to be in July, and I'm trying for the N4. So that's really, really exciting. That's something I'm focusing on, and things that I'll be giving for the giving to the channel as updates as I go along. Hopefully for other people who are studying for languages or whatever, we can kind of study along together. Something I find really fascinating is I've got this lo-fi hip-hop live stream that I listen to when I study Japanese. And it's so crazy to me the way the world evolves, and the kind of like, in the moment that you're doing it, it doesn't seem so amazing. But if you think about like literally quite literally what is happening, it's so fascinating that on this live stream when I'm studying, there's 5,000 other people when I've been doing this who are listening to the same music. So I'm imagining these 5,000 people around the world sitting at their desks studying, all connected by the same music. And it's a really cool feeling. Like that interconnectedness that is growing in a good way in our society is something to take note of. It's not all vapid, pointless illusion. Some of it's really cool and interesting. So those are the couple of life updates. I'm going to do a marathon. Hey, why not? And the JLPT4 is coming up really soon, and I'm actually seeing headway with it. Okay, I'm going to step over here because that'll make it at this point much easier for the things to show up here that you could watch later. So if you like this video, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel if you enjoy videos like this. Leave a comment down below with experiences that you've had where you persevered through things like long periods of time without friends or adapting to a new culture. I'd love to hear your stories because it's always a cool opportunity to have a good discussion down below as opposed to a devolved hate pool, which it can sometimes turn into. That would be great. I will be making many more videos. I'm gonna be doing a cool apartment tour. I've got a buddy who moved out here and he's got a really cool apartment. I'll be doing that soon. And I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Check me out on my Patreon. That's down in the links down below if you want to support the channel. That makes a huge difference to me, obviously, to be able to grow and create and visit all these places and stay afloat. And for now, goodbye. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.